there, it's Heather. So I made another art doll. I thought you might like to see it as well, and I have made a pattern and also these faces, which should be available on my Etsy shop soon. So if you want to play along, these are the things that you'll need: some felt, fabric scraps, some thread, embroidery floss, something like that, needle, threader, that sort of thing, some sequins, and obviously the face. And you'll need some scissors and some toy stuffing or polyfill, something like that, to be able to pad it with. And you'll be making something like this, which is a little tiny art doll. It's very, very simple, and I just used some fabric scraps for mine. So these are the faces. Now I printed them off onto some cotton sheeting and then added some heat and bond light to the back of it. Now there are other products, but I like heat and bond light because you can iron on little scraps of fabric like this and it stays in place then, and you can still sew through it. I find it really useful so that the fabric doesn't slip when I'm trying to sew it on. Now I know you can pin, but personally I just like to be able to use this stuff. I've used it for years and I think it's a really good product, but there are other products on the market. So all you do is peel off the backing, pop it onto the felt, and then just use a medium heat iron. I think it's a 2-spot iron. Just iron it in place for a few seconds and then it fuses it to the fabric backing. What I'm going to do is iron it on, and then I'll be sewing around the face when I've put that front part onto the doll. So you'll see in a minute. So you just use the medium iron and then it irons it nicely in place and just stops it from slipping around. And what I'm going to do is pop the front on it and sew around there. But before I do that, I'm actually going to add some fabric scraps to the front of the doll, and that will make it look really pretty. So I have a lot of fabric scraps that have heat and bond light already attached to the back of it because I used to make applique for people. So I've picked out a few appropriate colours and I've just gone for some pretty florals, and then I just cut out some simple shapes and added those to the front of the doll. You could just embroider on the front, but I decided to add a few fabric scraps because that's what I happen to have. I also cut out some little felt flowers as well using a die cutter. So what I did was just layer up a few pretty fabrics and popped a little heart in the middle of it, and I thought that made it look like she had a little apron on. I thought she looked really cute. So what you do is just, again, if you've got the heat and bond light on the back of it, just remove the backing and then add the iron onto the top of it, and it just fuses that glue. It's a heat melted glue. It just fuses it onto the felt and just makes it so much easier for sewing around. You can get a version that you don't have to sew around, but I prefer the one that you sew through because it means then it's all securely added in place. Now I've since made a pattern, a very basic pattern for this, but because I didn't have a pattern at the time and I was just having a play, I just used the first part of the fabric in order to cut myself a back. So I sewed around the edge of the fabric that had stuck onto it with a heat and bond light, and I just used a bit of pretty embroidery floss. You could use some pretty sparkly threads or whatever you like, and then I added some cut out felt flowers and some sequins, and I also sewed the front all the way round to add it onto the front of the doll, and that holds the face securely. And then I sewed the back on, so all I did was just a small running stitch all the way round, and when I'd done that I just added some toy filling into her, and that just made her nice and plump. And the circle of felt, I added that and sewed round that to the bottom of the doll, and then she could stand up. Now doesn't she look cute? You could use this as a needle and pin holder, or just use her as some form of decoration, and I've got my little doll as decoration in the craft room, and I'm going to be making lots more. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this process, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.